Previously, I made these clay pots with faces on it with Joe, and today I'm going to give them some hair and paint them out. So what you're going to need is some paint palettes, some acrylic paint, some paint brushes, a sponge, a mask, some clear sealant spray, some gloves, some scissors, a mug of water, some plants and some flowers. Let's get started. First step is to paint the pot with your base colour, which is your skin. Now I'm not painting any of the skin colour over the eyes or the mouth because that's coming up next. Make sure you get into all the small nooks and crannies. Okay, I've just finished painting the base coat on this pot. Lovely skin. I'm going to start on the other one. I'm going to be a little bit more abstract with this and paint her blue. I'm using a bigger brush for the larger surfaces, and when I get into the smaller details, I'll swap out to a smaller brush. Now both my pot's skin is painted, it's time to get onto the smaller details like the eyes and the mouth. I'm going to start with the moustache first, so I'm going to grab a smaller brush for all the detail. Now I'm going to add a little bit of white to the pink paint to make the lips a little bit lighter so it doesn't look like he's wearing lipstick. Now when sponging the cheeks on, lightly dab it into the paint and dab some paint off and lightly press onto the cheeks. Now I've finished my lips and moustache, it's time to start the eyes. Now here's a little secret tip for you. To get a perfect eye pupil, I'm going to use the end of my paintbrush dipped in black paint. Ah, now he has eyeballs, it's given him life. Now for the lady pot. I'm going to give her bright red lips, green eyeshadow on the lids, and peachy cheeks. Don't worry if you get paint on the wrong part of the pot, you can always coat it and fix it up later. The final touch, a couple more dabs of black paint for the pupils. Man, it is so cool to paint something that I've made from scratch. Awesome. Now our paint's all dry, it's time to finish off our pots by sealing them. I've got some clear sealant spray, which will mean the paint doesn't chip or fade. And don't forget to wear a mask and have an adult around when you're doing this. Here we go. Now don't worry if it gets too messy, it's meant to, but if you're worried, put some paper down. Now my sealant is dry, it's time for the fun part, the hair. Now for my man pot, I'm going to give him succulent hair, and I'll do that later because it's a bit messy. But for my lady pot, I've got some beautiful hot pink tulips. Now a little tip when cutting flowers down to your vase is to bring your vase to the edge of the table, line up how high you want your tulip, and cut it at the base. And just work your way around. My lady pot is all done. What cool hair you have. Now it's time for the man pot. Now I'm going to be using some spiky succulents for his hair. Now, just put your gloves on and get started. This is the messy part. Once you're happy with the hairstyle, fill in all the other gaps with dirt. And just brush away all the soil with a paintbrush. Now my man pot is done. Look at his crazy hair. And there you go, two very cool clay pot people with some funky hair. Ooh. I like the facial features. I wouldn't say like cartoony, but it's very like distinct. You have the mustache, you got the nose. Yeah, I like it. Okay, what I've done so far is I've pinched some little eye holes in. I made a little dent for the mouth.
I think that this is a very different way of showing you can be silly and you can be different, but it's still who you are. So you don't have to change for other people.
It's a ceramic work. It looks like it may have been done on a wheel, which, you know, shows significant skill.
Maybe that every single piece comes to life, I guess.
That, you know, what sort of personality they have.
That I'm different, but I'm okay with it.
I think it's sort of a introspective, interesting personality. Harold.
What's hidden inside?
Mustache mug. I think that the nose is very defined. The eyes, they pop out really well, so I like that.
Now he has eyeballs. It's given him life.
It makes you like stare into its eyes.
I think that the mouth and the facial hair could be a bit more just better.
I love the paint. The paint choice is really good. It's very bright.
First step is to paint the pot with your base colour, which is your skin.
They could probably make the eyes a bit more detailed instead of just doing the pupils.
Well, as soon as you're happy with that, then see if it's going to fit on the front of your pot.
Oh, that's really big.
Might be a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think they did a good job with the nose.
Finding an original t-shirt can be tricky, so why not wear one of your own designs? It's super easy. Let me show you how. The things you'll need is some cardboard, rubber gloves, a dark black or navy blue t-shirt, masking tape, a pair of scissors, a face mask, spray bottle with a mixture of 1 part water to 2 parts bleach. And because we're using bleach, be sure to cover your surface with some plastic. So let's get started. So I'm going to quickly secure the t-shirt to the table with the tape. That way it won't move as I'm working on my design. So 2 tapes for the sleeve and 2 at the bottom on the inside part of the seam. And you need your piece of cardboard on the inside part of the t-shirt, so when we spray it later, the bleach won't seep through to the back. Now for our design. Find the midpoint of your t-shirt right at the top, drop down about 10 centimetres, and that's your starting point. Taping down the length of the T, stopping about, say, 20 centimetres from the bottom. Using a pair of scissors, just carefully snip off on an angle like so. Next, we'll create 2 lines at the top. Just tape one, creating a T shape with that first bit of masking tape. And the second one just a bit below it and a little bit longer on either end. Cool, so now it's time to connect these 2 points to the bottom with a V shape. So tape down, press down, snip it off. One more, press down. Just tying that up. So 2 lines at the top to close off the diamond shape. Cool, so we're 4 lines away from being finished. I'm placing 2 more lines at the top on a diagonal, and then 2 longer ones meeting at the bottom, just like so. Just trimming off that final piece, and awesome, we have our diamond. So now it's time to spray our t-shirt. Now with this point, you need an adult to help you out because we are using bleach. And to be safe, let's put on some gloves to protect our hands. You need to do this outside or in a really well-ventilated area because of the fumes. Let's put our masks on and get started. So we're going to grab our spray bottle and give it a few pumps, about 30 centimetres away from the t-shirt. Stand back, have a look, and when you're happy, come a little bit closer for a second round with a couple more pumps. I'm just going to press down on bits of the masking tape, and that way the bleach won't seep through. So we're going to set this aside to dry for about an hour. Okay, our t-shirt's dry. Now comes my favourite part, revealing the design. So just peel off the tape. And there you have it, your Diamond Galaxy t-shirt. Now be sure to throw it to the wash on its own to get rid of any extra bleach, and then it's ready to wear.
What does the city have in common with the jungle? Just ask Stuart Green. He saw a link between the two and created this 3-part, larger-than-life sculpture artwork to symbolise it, right in the centre of Brisbane's central business district. This public artwork represents a seed pod falling from a tree in the forest. Above me is part 1 of the piece. Imagine all these tall, towering buildings in the city are the trees closely packed together in the forest. The seed pod falling off its branch towards the forest floor. It's made from aluminium and is held up by wire rope. And the fast-paced hustle and bustle of the city streets are like the chaos and wildlife on the forest floor. Part 2. This is a seed that's fallen from its pod and landed on the forest floor. It's made from wood. And finally, our third part of the sculpture. It's called returning. This is the return of the seed pod into the earth, which then creates new plants and life. And on top of that, it's a great resting spot for your lunch break.
Today, I'm visiting Joe Darling. He was on the show a while back telling us all about pottery. And now I'm here to get his help with a special project. Hey Joe, how are you?
Hey, Jacqui. Good.
So I've had a brilliant idea. I want to make a vase with a face in it. Can you help me?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, as a matter of fact, I've got these here ready to do some alterations to.
Great.
Would you like to do that?
Yeah, sure, let's do it.
Okay. I'm going to take this one, give you this pot here.
Sure.
You see how soft and squishy it still is?
So soft.
And I'll take this one.
Okay, so what do we do?
We'll start to form it into some kind of a face with a couple of light pinches. You're going to have a little bit of a nose underneath there and some cheekbones and some eye impressions. So maybe if you put your fingers inside here like that and hold it out.
Yeah.
That's the way. And on the outside of that, give it a little pinch, a bigger pinch, yeah? And drive it right inside, nice and firm. Don't be afraid to bend it. Yeah, that's great.
Oh, it's so sticky. So I don't want to touch the clay too much because it makes it very thin. It's funny, it's so hard, yet it's so squishy.
So now you can just adjust the head a little bit here.
Sure. Give him a flat forehead.
Yeah, give him maybe like he was wearing a sailor's cap or something.
Okay, what I've done so far is I've pinched some little eye holes in. I made a little dent for the mouth, and I've just squared the top off a little bit. Now I'm gonna let it dry, and then I can add on some lips and eyebrows. Okay, so we've got our dried vases. And what do I do with this clay? How do I make some lips?
Okay, so the clay is now leather hard. We're going to attach a couple of eyes in there and some lips, and whatever we attach to, we have to score the surface so that the clay deeper in can hold on. Then we'll put a little swab of slip, which is just clay, mixed in with some paper and vinegar.
Right.
To help it all stick.
So I'm just gonna score the eye socket so I can put a little eyeball in. There we go. What did you call this again, Joe?
Slip.
Slip. So it's like a glue? Okay, so I'll put a bit of slip in. And I'll start rolling an eyeball. I think I want to make my vase look really sleepy, so I'm going to give him like a really low eyelid. So I've just made 2 eyeballs the same. Okay. And then do I need to cut them in half?
Yeah, put them right down on here. I'll cut them for you.
Sure. Thank you. So it's just a circle cut in half, and you just stick them on. Is that right?
Yep.
Oh, wow. So I want to make some eyelids. How do I do that?
We're going to squeeze out a bit of soft clay to make it flat.
Okay.
And maybe like a flat disc, the size of a coin, like a 20-cent coin. And I'm taking that coin-like shape, smoothing out the edges. Then I'm going to cut my disc in half with this wired tool so that I have 2 half-round circles.
So I can just stamp it down the middle.
That's it, yeah. Good. Now roll up one edge to give it like an eyelash.
And then to stick it on, I can just go ahead and...
Yeah, it's nice and sticky already, so you don't have to add more slip. And now just touching just the parts where we want them to stick in.
So what are you using to do that?
This is a wooden stick. We can leave that rough for style, or we can smooth it out if you want to. Wipe your finger off occasionally to keep it moist.
Ah, yes. Okay, so I'm ready for my nose. How do I do that?
Let's think about how a nose is shaped. It's kind of a triangle, if you do, or maybe a pyramid. And if you squish that in your fingers,
Right.
that's good. Now, as soon as you're happy with that, then see if it's going to fit on the front of your pot.
Oh, that's really big.
Might be a little bit.
Yeah. So I'll just cut it down. Do I need to score this one on too?
Yes.
With a flat surface? Perfect, thank you. Oh yes, the slip. Okay, so I've just done my nose. Now it's time for the lips.
Right.
Talk me through it.
It starts off as like a little sausage that we roll out. Want to keep the edges tapered nicely and a nice thick part in the middle. Then with a stick of any kind, I'll use this modeling stick here. I'm going to put a central dent down the middle. It's going to be stuck on the pot just like that. Now, should we have teeth on these? If we
Yeah, why not?
If we put teeth, we've got to put them in before the lips. And the teeth come out just like you'd imagine, just a small pad of clay, trimmed off to be small enough to slip underneath the lips.
Under the lips, okay, yep. So you just draw the teeth in, just across. And there are your teeth. So just cut my lips in half so they don't look silly. And I just need a bit more slip to put them on.
I'm going to give mine a great big mustache.
Oh,
Is that
that's
all right?
so cool. Okay, just putting the top lip on. Okay, looking pretty good. So I've just made some eyes, nose, teeth, and lips. And Joe, I'm gonna leave it with you. You're gonna fire it for me in your kiln. And then I'm gonna take it back to the studio and paint it up.
I'm a printmaker and I specialise in lino-cuts. So when I first started artwork, I research online. I'm looking at photos, in books. What I look out for straight away is high-resolution photos that are taken professionally. The reason I do that is because those types of photos really capture all the details, the hair coming out of the animal's skin, the creases, all the textures. Using a skewer, I then lightly transfer the drawing I've just done onto the lino. Not very detailed when I first put it on. The details and the textures and the lines develop as I go. Everywhere where the skewer touches, a little white line will come out. Lino cutting is somewhat unforgiving. If you make a mistake, you either have to start again or you incorporate the mistake into your artwork. If your lino is too warm, your tool might glide through and cut too deep. If you aren't cutting away from you, you can slip and cut yourself. One of my favourite processes is when I'm inking up the rolling press and the sound that the ink makes as it glides over the glass. I have the ability to make multiples of my artwork that I've put so much time into, so I'm able to keep them for myself as well as share them with others. The way the art world is going with such contemporary art and digital art as well, you may not see too much of it, but it just makes it even more special for me to create and very lucky to know how to do it. It is such a fun art form. You can do so many things. You can do it at home. You don't need the printing presses. You can create birthday cards, works of art. You can use it for school projects. There's a lot of things that you can do with it. My favourite step is the big reveal. So after I've rolled my artwork through the printing press, I then get to pick up the blanket, slowly peel off the paper and see what I've created. And that's what I absolutely love. And seeing that you've created something from nothing is so special. My recent body of work is inspired by a recent trip to South Africa. The whole work revolves around extinction and animals in turn, I guess, fading away into the darkness. Eyes are what really captures someone when they look at my work, and that's what I really try and single out.